It's just magical, absolutely magical experience.
I am disappointed in you, Andre, because
Why?
I asked you to visit a place that you did not visit when you were there.
Where did you say?
Next time, if you go there, you got to visit Randy's Donuts.
I don't remember if
You don't
I've
remember?
seen it.
Andre, I told you about this.
Now would not be the ideal time to graduate and go into this industry. A lot of people are out of work. Once you're out there, you're just another person out there. You know, you can tell them, hey, I'm part of a university program. They'll go, oh, cool. And it is what it is. Kind of wish I learned a little bit more and got some more guidance about how to really effectively network. But that is the hardest part of this by far.
Welcome to the Post Show Podcast. I'm your host, John the Video Guy. In today's episode, I sit down with Andre Young. Andre is a recent graduate from Ohio University, where he earned a Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree in cinematography and film video production. In our conversation, we talk about his college experience and about his first ever visit to Los Angeles. I hope you enjoy today's episode with Andre and I as we dive deep into the world of film and cinematography. But before we get into today's episode, I want to give a quick shout out to Riverside. I used Riverside to not only record this episode of my podcast, but I also used their AI producer to edit the entire episode for me, saving me hours of time. And we all know how precious our time is as video editors. So if you're interested in learning more about Riverside, I will leave them linked down in the show notes below for you to go and check them out for yourself. You can start for free today using my link down below. Thank you, Riverside, and now let's get into today's episode. Andre, welcome to the show. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to start with your backstory because I feel like a lot of people have, want to get into film. They want to become a filmmaker. What inspired you to become a filmmaker or pursue that as a career?
I was inspired by having more creativity to do what I wanted to do. So I first found out about these sort of creative fields in film in high school. I was doing a video class at the high school where we did sort of daily video announcements. And I got into a lot of After Effects work with that and just playing around. And we were sort of constricted to about 10 seconds for like an intro or outro on either end of the news being shown that day. And so I was experimenting with a lot of creative designs and this song, that song, learn this technique, that technique. But it just wasn't enough for me to do what I wanted to do. And so when looking at college and potential things that I could go on to study or even just spend my time on as a hobby, I thought film would be a great, great thing for that, where I have much more freedom to do whatever I want to do and as much time as I kind of want to do it.
Yeah, that's really cool. And for those that don't know, me and Andre actually went to the same school, Twinsburg High School. I'm class of 2015, giving away my age a little bit.
And I'm class of 2020.
And you're class of 2020.
Yep.
But so as you were going into college, you chose Ohio University. Is there a certain reason you went with them? What were you kind of looking in that, college space? Because I know a lot of people listening, they might be, looking for colleges specifically for film or video. What made you go with Ohio University specifically?
Well, there's sort of two answers I could give here. The first one I'll say is, they have a really good film program there. I am actually was part of the second class of undergraduate film program existing there ever. So it's a pretty new undergraduate program, but they have a really good master's program. And that's what it's been since the 70s, 60s. I forget when exactly it was founded, but it's been around for quite a while. Probably one of the better ones in the state when you compare it to other big schools in the state. Out of state, yes, there are better film schools, but for in-state, it was the best opportunity for me. And the second answer I could give was, COVID kind of shut everything down before I had a chance to really deep dive into a bunch of other schools. So I kind of ended up going with this. It was the best option at the time.
Yeah. So I was curious, how many did you go visit or kind of was on your list of schools before you landed on Ohio University?
Most of the visits I did to universities were just like the general admissions, tours of campus. And, at this point, every college is the same. We got a gym, we got a cafeteria, here's the dorms, that kind of thing. As for like film focus, there's only like a couple. It's like OU, maybe OSU. in Columbus. And I think that was about it before COVID just kind of shut everything down.
Was there a reason why you wanted to stay in state, or did you just want to be closer to home?
Yeah, I want to be fairly close to home. Even being across the state, it's only about a 3.5 hour drive. So it's not too far and it's cheaper.
I'm curious because I remember we were going to have you intern at the place I used to work for. We were looking at, having you intern with us in the pandemic hit. I was kind of curious on how the pandemic kind of shaped your decision of college. Did you second guess going to college? How did the pandemic kind of play in your world and that part of it?
I think it's really been both a blessing and a curse in the sense that it's a curse because I didn't get to have the more traditional senior year of high school. That's when everything shut down. So I graduated sort of remotely. I didn't get to walk a stage, although Twinsburg did something different, which was really nice. So I still had a sort of graduation in that sense. But as far as like going to college, no, it didn't really change that for me. I was sort of planning on going to college no matter what. But it did definitely hamper the first years of college because in fall of 2020, when I first attended OU, we were not even on campus. I was here at my parents' house, totally remote, because they only let certain people back on campus for health reasons. In the spring, I was on campus, but then everything but one class was online. So I didn't really have to go, but I did. And then after that, in the fall of 2021, it started opening up a little bit more and having more opportunities of the traditional college experience. But before that, it really just kind of shut everything down.
Yeah. I remember it was a tough time. It is a weird time. It's one of those times that it feels like yesterday, but it also feels like a long time ago. It's a weird, type of situation. And when you went to college, you had a lot of opportunities. I was fortunate to work with you. We actually did bring you back as an intern for 2 years at the place I used to work for in the summer of 2021 and the summer of 2022. Got some hands-on experience. Another thing that you had an opportunity for was to go to Los Angeles and visit the city and work out there for your last summer, I believe it was, in your college experience. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, so one of the great things about Ohio University that I didn't know about when I first enrolled, it was this program that they have in the media school there called the Ohio and LA program. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Like you said, it's a group of students. We go to LA, we make a short film, we take classes, we meet with OU alumni. We do tours of a lot of the studios out there, and we do it for the whole summer or fall, depending on the year. So that's an immensely cool experience that I've been able to do that not everybody gets the chance to do. But it's just been very informative just to get out there and see how the real world sort of works, because once you're out there, you're just another person out there. You can tell them, hey, I'm part of a university program. They'll go, oh, cool. And it is what it is. It's another day for them, a day in the life at work. So just getting to really see that outside of an academic setting, or where it's just some professor telling you, oh, this is how it is out there, to be hands-on. Like with the short film, it was really student run. So we did a lot of the work ourselves. Yes, we had a great support network with the faculty and staff and alumni out there who do a lot of work in supporting this. But we sort of ran everything ourselves. We had to go find the actors. We had to figure out what rate to pay them. We had to go find the locations, go figure out the equipment. I went and picked up all the rental stuff. I dropped it back off, all that kind of stuff.
It's a really cool experience. And I think you had a chance to really get your hands dirty in like the actual film production. I'm kind of curious. Like, there's so many roles in film, and as you experimented in college through, college itself, the projects, and also going to LA, did you kind of gravitate towards a certain position, like camera, audio, directing? There's so many different roles. How did you kind of determine like, oh, this is kind of like the way I want to go with it?
So when I first enrolled at OU, I thought I was going to go down an editing track, post-production, because up until that point, I had not been on a film set. And from hearing what other people said about film sets, you're on your feet for 12 hours a day around all these people, it didn't sound that exciting. However, I found out in my first couple of years that solely editing is not quite the way I wanted to go. In my junior year, I took a cinematography course because it was something else. Oh, I'll give it a try. And I ended up loving it. So I ultimately kept going down that path. And now I think being a cinematographer, director of photography is kind of the direction I ultimately want to go in, going down lighting and camera, being on set, on location. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, since this is the post-show podcast, what did you not like about video editing?
In college, we're all learning together, all learning the basics. I don't know. I couldn't put it into words. It's just a feeling. It's just like, I don't see myself doing this full time for a career.
Yeah. I think I can kind of speak to it a little bit, is video editing, comparing it to like camera work. Camera work, you're on the move. It's more active, I would say, going to film shoots, whether it's, a film, doing interviews, going to events or different things. Where video editing, you have to have a lot of discipline, I feel like, to sit down and work and edit, consistently and try to have that train of thought and to be creative as well, because it's a very technical role. But then you also have to be open to creativity of like how to do something, how to make an effect work. And I feel like you have to have like some type of personality, and I feel like perseverance to be a video editor. I want to say you have to be, a lot of people, they can see themselves like sitting down, working 8-10 hours a day in a 9-to-5 job, office worker. And video editor is very similar to that, but it's a little bit more taxing because you have that creativity side as well. But I enjoy camera work. I like doing both because that way I go and film something, I'm on my feet, and then I get to rest and I get to edit. So like for me, it's like, okay, I get a few times a week, maybe I go film something, come back, sit down, relax, edit. It's nice to have both, in my personal opinion, but it seems like you really leaned into cinematography and lighting. What is it about cinematography and lighting that you really enjoy?
I think at the end of the day, I just like making something look pretty, and lighting and where you put the camera says a lot. The choices you make with it can change drastically with the smallest differences in setups. But I think a lot of it in the film side of things is teamwork. I really enjoy collaborating with the team and just sort of being responsible for that vision. It's a lot of responsibility. Like with editing, you have to be on top of things. You have to know sort of what you want out of it and stay on top of things and manage a whole crew on top of that, whether that's, one other person, if it's just the two of us, or whether it's 5 or 6 other people in just one department, and you have 2 departments, potentially 3, have college students that, everybody wears multiple hats, but it's just a lot more fun. Up and moving and working with people. And
it is really nice to have a more active position and it to also be creative as well, like cinematography. I was curious whether it was in LA or throughout college, was there a specific short film or project you worked on that you really enjoyed working on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, there was the one we did for the LA program. I'm going to pull it up really quick here. Was one that I was writing the script for in the spring before I went out there, spring of 23, for a class. I just wanted to learn how to write a story a little bit better. But going back to the video editing, why I stepped away from that, I think it also could be that my storytelling skills just weren't developed enough to truly appreciate that role. So I was trying to get some more experience with that. So I thought, I'll figure out this script writing class and write a script and just learn the storytelling process a little more. I ended up writing a story that had a lot of personal connection to me relating to family. And I, on a whim, submitted that to the LA program to be nominated and selected by the other participants of which film we make once we got out there. All the shorts and scripts we could have made were submitted from the participants of the program, and we all voted on it, picked our, ranked them, which was our favorite, which is not. And mine ended up winning. So that ultimately became what is now George's Room. And I am just really, really happy with the way that that's turned out, and just the whole experience of doing it out in LA with a small budget, with a great crew of people who I can now call friends. And I'm looking forward to working with them again in the future. It's probably the best project that I've done so far to date.
Really cool. Awesome. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about was Los Angeles, because you visited for the first time. That was your first time being there. What was your first impressions visiting the city?
A lot of people, A lot more people in one place than I'm used to seeing in Ohio. Traffic not quite as bad as people make it out to be. So that was a pleasant surprise. I think everyone out there is kind of expecting all the craziness. So there's a little bit of, well, you're darting in front of me, but just brake a little bit and it's all fine. Whereas people are not as forgiving elsewhere in the country from my own experiences. But ultimately, it's just another city like anything else. It just happens to be built around the film and movie industries more than anything else. But it's just a city, and there's certain places that, it's like magic, and you see the studios and you go, hey, that movie was right there. That shot was right there. And you're just driving around. But it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it in words super well.
It's very unique, it sounds like.
Yeah, it is a very unique place.
I was curious, is there a certain spot that you really enjoyed? Because there's a lot of different areas in Los Angeles. Was there a certain destination or place you visited that was like, oh, wow, this is really cool?
One of the coolest places we got to visit as part of the program that other university programs, I don't think, have the same opportunity because it's such a unique set of circumstances. There is a place in LA called the Magic Castle. And for anyone who doesn't know what the Magic Castle is, it is a private club, like nightclub kind of thing, for magicians. And it's a very, very selective place, but an OU alum is a magician at the castle, and it is a invite only kind of place. So you have to be invited by a magician who's a member of the Magic Castle to go. But he gave tickets to the program. So we went while I was out there, and it's this old manor, like right in the middle of Hollywood, right in the middle of everything that they've converted and just put a ton of different levels. So you take a staircase up to here, and then there'll be like a back hallway and a staircase down a story and a half, and just all these little corridors and rooms where they have a bunch of these really, really great magicians performing tricks, and you can get drinks and you eat food, and it's just magical, absolutely magical experience.
That's really cool. Now, is there any place that you visited that's open to the public? Say if someone's visiting there for the first time and they're curious, like, oh yeah, this person should definitely check this place out. What would you say that one place is?
One place above all.
Did you visit the Hollywood sign by chance? I'm not sure if you went there.
We went to the park below it, but I'd never made it up to the hike to go up to the sign. It just didn't work out for me. One location, I would say, if you can, maybe check out the Groundlings Theater on Melrose Avenue. Lot of great comedic legends have made careers out of that. Live improv comedy place. And that was also just another great experience to go in. They have live musicians play music in between the acts. They interact with the crowd. It's a really small kind of theater, and they're just great world-class performers.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. I am disappointed in you, Andre, because I asked you to visit a place that you did not visit when you were there.
Where did you say?
Next time, if you go there, you got to visit Randy's Donuts.
Randy's Donuts.
The donut shop that has the giant donut on top of it. Like, that would probably be like the number one place I would go if I went there. That's not film related, obviously, but they supposedly have like really good donuts there. Randy's Donuts. It's like famous. It's like you've seen it like in the media and like different things.
I don't remember.
If I remember, Andre, I told you about this. But yeah, they supposedly have really great donuts there. If anyone's listening or watching this and you've been to Randy's Donuts or you're from the Los Angeles area, let us know how Randy's Donuts is. But if I ever make it out to LA, hopefully one day I will. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I haven't been to LA yet. I've been to a lot of cities, but I haven't been to Los Angeles yet. I've been to Vegas, Orlando, New York. But yeah, I've never been to Los Angeles yet. I feel like everyone in the film industry or in video, it needs to visit at least once in their life, you know?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I just looked it up. There was one in North Hollywood, not too far from us, that I could have gone to.
Darn, Andre. Well, next time. On that same note, if you had to go again, was there a place that you didn't visit that you wish you did, other than Randy's Donuts, obviously?
Yeah, there's a couple places. Coincidentally, they're also more food related. What is it? The Apple Pan is, I think, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Yes, the Apple Pan is a restaurant that has, I've heard, some great like diner style burgers. I'm a real big cheeseburger fan, one of my favorite foods. So that would be something I really want to check out that I just didn't know about while I was out there. Pink's Hot Dogs right off of Melrose, I believe, is also another one that I was told to check out and I completely forgot about it, even though I was right there. Where maybe if you're looking for like a specific area of the city, maybe more like at the beach.
Yeah, I was going to
like
mention like
Santa
what
Monica
about
Pier.
Santa Monica, yeah.
Yeah, we were next to it on the beach, but we didn't go onto the pier. We didn't go up to I didn't go up to Malibu or anything like that.
Now, you not only went to LA, but you road tripped there as well. So I was curious, on your way out there on a road trip, was there any spots that you visited that was really cool?
Yeah, one of the bigger surprises, because we weren't planning on it, was Casey, Illinois. It's this small town in like the middle of nowhere along the way that has a bunch of like world's largest objects. So like world's largest rocking chair or pencil or mailbox, seesaw. I think bookworm might have been one of them. It's like a statue of a bookworm. Just really bizarre stuff like that. That's just all over town. But it was really kind of cool to see it. Past that, cooler places that we stayed or visited, Flagstaff, Arizona in the Grand Canyon. About an hour away from there was really cool. A really great brewery, a Dark Sky Brewing Company. Absolutely fantastic. Wood-fired pizza right in front of you. Haven't seen anything like it anywhere else. Albuquerque was really cool. I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So to go to Los Pollos Hermanos, which is Twisters, and get to eat there, and it looks exactly like it does in the show. They didn't change really anything. It was really cool, and it's really good food too. I think that's the highlights of the way out there. And I also road tripped on the way back as well. Arches National Park in Utah was really, really awesome. I-70 just going through Glenwood Canyon, I believe, in Colorado is just, yeah, it's part of the drive, but it is the most beautiful part of the drive in the whole country, I think.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was just like Kansas. Past that, it's Kansas.
I was going to say, like, I would be nervous, because being from the Northeast or from the Midwest, essentially, like when you travel out and you see nothing and it's just like desert or like, just like, flat as can be. Like, were you nervous? Like, oh, I'd be nervous, like if I ran out of gas out there or if my car breaks down, especially in a lot of the rural areas. Did you have concerns about any of that?
Yeah, there was one stretch on the way back. It is the most desolate stretch of interstate that I've ever driven on in Utah. I don't remember how long the distance is, but Green River is on the eastern end of the stretch, but there's nothing out there. There are technically exits off of the highway, but they go like 40 miles of just back dirt roads to like some town that existed in maybe the 40s or 50s and doesn't anymore. It's like 2 buildings, that kind of thing. No gas stations, and we forgot to fill up. So we almost ran out of gas, but we just made it.
Wow. Yeah.
But otherwise, the rest of the drive, it's the major interstates. There's always somebody driving past, even if it's a little more remote. So we were never really worried about that kind of thing. But except for in Utah, it was a little bit less traveled. And yeah, it was close.
Wow. So out of your experience visiting Los Angeles, could you see yourself living there? Is it a city that you'd want to spend, most of your life in? Because I feel like, I believe your goal is to eventually work in Los Angeles, but now that you got a taste of it, can you actually see yourself?
I think I could. Yeah. It takes a lot of work to get out there and more work to stay busy, I think, especially with how the industry is sort of right now. But yeah, I definitely think I could stay there and never get tired, at least until maybe I start looking at raising a family maybe down the line. I know a lot of people move out of the city for that kind of thing. So,
yeah. And also cost of living. I'm sure you probably saw in the short time you were there, the difference between Cleveland and Los Angeles.
It's very expensive.
Any stories with that? Like how expensive the difference is between this and this?
Gas was sort of the big one, the most common one. I'll say the worst gas prices I saw were right across the California state line because they know there's nothing else out there. And it was over $5.50 per gallon.
Wow.
Otherwise, I think it didn't quite hit 5. It was in 4 or something, higher 3s at the absolute lowest that I saw. Takeout is really expensive out there. Just be careful with food. Food is really expensive.
What's the most expensive food you got out there?
Probably the most expensive was probably there was a restaurant we went to that somebody else was telling us about. It wasn't covered by the program. Those are probably the most expensive meals, but they're covered by the program. I don't count those too much. But out of my own pocket, I'm forgetting the name of the place, but it was tucked away. There was no sign on it. You have to go through the door, and then you find like a little waiting stand right there, front entrance where all the menus are. And it was a place where they had like live music, but it was treated in such a way acoustically that you could talk to the person next to you in like a low whisper or like real quietly, but still have all the music from around across the room like carry perfectly, and you'd hear everything like really well.
I feel like that's a major issue with most restaurants or like places to eat. So I feel like this place got it figured out.
I think the catch with this place is that it's also like a recording studio in the back. It was a very unique place. And the food was pretty good, but I think that was the most expensive place out of pocket.
Yeah. It can get really pricey. It reminds me of like when I go out of town for like video shoots and things. And if you ever like stop or you get something at the hotel you're staying at, usually they mark up like, that as well. Like I remember one time I was in Dallas and like a Red Bull and like an orange cost like $30 for some reason. It was like
the
a
second highest.
Yeah. It was like a very high end like hotel that I stayed at in Dallas when I was filming there. But yeah, it can get really expensive depending where you are.
And I think the second highest price I ever paid for a singular item was at Dodger Stadium. I got like a Modelo just while we went to a game there. It was like $18. Ridiculous.
Yep. All right. So now you are graduated. So coming back from Los Angeles, your final year in college, talk a little bit about your graduation. How did that go? Now entering into the workforce, do you feel inspired? How do you feel about graduating college?
I'm happy that I'm out. Academia does wear on you after a while, or at least it did for me. And I guess I would say now would not be the ideal time to graduate and go into this industry, just with the strikes and COVID and everything's just real slow on the industry side of things right now. So a lot of people are out of work, and they're, people with really good credits are, sort of moving down the ladder a step just to pay bills and get jobs, and everybody moves down, and the people at the bottom sort of get kicked out. And that's just broad generalization across the nation from what I hear and see online. More specific to my relative market in the Cleveland area, it's not the largest market to begin with. Especially for like film. And I just know right now a lot of people in companies are looking for someone with prior experience, whether it be a few years post-grad, or you have like your own gear, multiple cameras and lenses and a whole grip system kit, and you have crew that you can hire on yourself, not to mention like insurance costs of all this, or like renting gear that I just don't have the money for right now. So it's a little tough starting out, but in time, it'll happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like it's one of those things that isn't talked about too, because like you go to college to learn film, and like in the chosen industry, like if you compared it to like doctors, it's not like they have to graduate, and then buy all their own x-ray machines or like their equipment. They can go work for a hospital, where if you do freelance video work, you probably have to buy your own camera, your own audio equipment, grip, lighting, all of that stuff. And it can be very costly. I was curious, what did you wish you learned in college? Is there something specific you wish before you entered into the workforce currently that you wish you knew kind of like before you got into college, that you wish you learned in college, essentially?
I wish, it's hard to say because it's such a personal thing, but I kind of wish I learned a little bit more and got some more guidance about how to really effectively network and stay on top of that. That was part of the program out in LA, was networking and maintaining some of those relationships, at least for the time we were out there. But that is the hardest part of this by far. Anybody can learn the technical skills if you're, dedicated enough and you care enough. You don't have to go to college for the hard skills, but the networking is where that really, really comes in handy, of having those connections, people your own level, people you worked with, and just staying on top of all that would have been really nice.
Yeah, I think networking is really important. I think also on top of that might also be like marketing, how to sell yourself, is probably a very common thing. Like even when I was like at Cuyahoga Valley Career Center, you learn all the technical skills, but then how do you actually sell yourself to a possible client? How do you pitch yourself? How do you market yourself? Build out a website portfolio. And there's a lot of soft skills that you need to develop on top of those, other skills. It's a lot that they don't cover in school, a lot of life lessons that I guess just need to be learned. So I'm curious, going forward, what's your big plans in the future? Where do you see yourself, headed in your career? Is your end destination headed to LA eventually, or do you want to stick around in the Cleveland area?
For now, I'm going to stick around in the Cleveland area and just save money. That's kind of the big thing I need to do right now, is just find any money I can get and just save up. Because like you said, it can get, especially freelance, quite costly pretty quickly. I'm having to foot all this yourself. And then the taxes on top of that, you're self-employed, you pay more in taxes and you have to, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm just probably going to stay in the area for a while, save up money. If I can get a gig here and there, great. But focusing on this as a career, I network, build those connections, build the clients before I can really make that jump full time. And yeah, eventually it would be nice to work more on like the film side, whether that be commercial or corporate kind of work or narrative scripted something is sort of where I think I want to go. But that is, long-term kind of plan right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, best of luck to you, Andre. If people are interested and they do want to reach out to you, is there a way that they can do so? I'll leave a link to your website and your YouTube channel down below. But if you prefer a certain method, I will also drop that in the show notes below. So how can people reach out to you?
If you want to see my work, you can find me at andreyoungfilm.myportfolio.com. That's where I upload all the stuff that I do that I feel is worth sharing. So I've got some short films, some corporate stuff that a lot of it I've worked, I think all of it really, I've worked with you in the past. I've got some photography, some music work that I've done, and some animation to go along with that. The other place that I'm most active is my Instagram. And you can find me at Andre Young Film there. My YouTube, I just sort of use it to host my videos to embed in my website.
Are you going to become a YouTuber one day, Andre?
I don't know. I need some good guidance.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for being on the Post Show podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.